Hi everybody and welcome to Fieldsports Channel's podcast, episode 2. That's right, we have come so far. For this episode I have a question. What happens if you mix 150 Fieldsports viewers and listeners like yourself and 3,000 rounds of ammo all in a field at the same time? Well, you have one heck of a weekend, that's for sure. And this is exactly what we did. We joined Blaser Sporting and Braces of Bristol as they hosted 3 days of tuition, technical advice, and access to loads and loads of fabulous hardware for all of you guys to try. And a lot of you were very happy and enjoyed yourself an awful lot. Lots of bangs going on. But as soon as the bangs had kind of simmered down a little bit, not entirely stopped, as you'll find out from the recording, and some airplanes going over and a few other bits and bobs, I sat down as many people as I could get together that were the full talent of Field Sports and guests, and they included myself, Charlie and David, which is quite rare to have us all three in the same space at once, which is probably a good thing to be fair. We also were joined by the wonderful Mr. Andy Crow and Mrs. Crow, and also running boar specialist and Artemis hunting outfitter Tomo Svetic, and wildlife cameraman Andy Chastney. Now, most people didn't know what a podcast was, and after the explanation, they didn't actually get it either. But we tried our best, and we made do with what we could. The result was basically a lot of embarrassing stories, some old anecdotes, which eventually I managed to steer the beast around to get some information out of Andy Crow about how he sets up his pigeon hides and what he does when he goes out for a day's pigeon, and some of the problems that he faces whilst doing it, because it all looks so smooth and simple on the edited programs. But anyway, enough rambling. If you're listening to this on podcast, then please do us a favour and pop to wherever you get your podcast from and give us a rate and a subscribe. That really helps us be found by other people, and without your support we couldn't carry on doing these things, and that's absolutely fantastic. If you're listening to this and watching it, in fact, looking at our ugly mugs laughing and joking on YouTube, then please do the same. Hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell, and you will be emailed every time we upload one of our programs or podcasts. So there you have it. That's all those bits done. On with the show!
Introduce us, Charlie. Why not?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fieldsports Channel at the Blaser, Mauser, Sauer, Minox Skills Day. No, I'm still recording.
Don't forget the pen knives.
Formerly called
not pen knives. I think Emberleaf would be quite cheesed off if you called them pen knives.
Andy called them Emberleaves, like something you get off a tree.
They are.
They're not. Something you get off a mammoth.
And Swarovski.
And Swarovski's here, and Artemis hunting. And Andy Chastney, famous film cameraman, Aaron Jones, famous film cameraman, Mrs. Michelle Crow, and the beautiful and all right, David. He's here too.
Oh, yes, I am.
I know, it makes a change from the beard, doesn't it?
It is.
We haven't seen him for ages.
Should we gang up on him?
No, we don't need to gang up on him.
Go on.
No, he's had a hard time.
I came. I'm here.
You saw, you conquered.
He's only here because he's knows there's going to be a barbecue.
Well, there is that.
I haven't seen any. Sorry, you keep saying about a barbecue. I've not seen any barbecue. I don't see flames. I don't see smoke. I don't smell anything.
It. Well, tell me about your stand. I mean, what were you doing today?
So basically we were using Sauer and Sauer 404 and Blaser R8 on moving game target, so people could feel how it looks like shooting on just moving game or moving target. Most of them they've never tried anything like it. So
did you bring a lot of wild boar in a trailer and just let them go? Is that how you did it?
I wish, but not this time.
So how did you create the moving target effect in the UK?
Basically, we use Honda engine and chromatic moving target. But yeah.
Do you find most people take to it quite quickly?
Yeah, definitely, and they love it because lots of shotgunners actually, after years and years of shooting with shotguns, they like actually trying with rifle, and some of them they said that they are intending more to use rifles than shotguns now after all these years, because it is different. It's different. You don't have lots of pellets. You have one bullet. You have to put in right place, and I mean, precision, accuracy is there.
Is the thing. Get one in early. How did Craig get on?
Exactly. For example, Andy was surprisingly really good.
He was surprisingly really. So you had surprisingly there, didn't you?
I mean, normally he uses lots of pellets, you know. But with single bullets, he was really deadly.
Do a pigeon day with single bullets?
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
Oh, punchy, very punchy.
See, I would be really bad, even with lots of pellets.
So I'd love to film Crow on driven boar, but he never wants to come with me.
Okay.
So it's always
Other
people that want to.
Borat, he never asked me.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, he asked me to Sweden in August.
Because there is nothing
But
he knows.
when am I busy?
Yeah, I know.
July,
He
August.
knows, yeah.
That is it.
Yeah,
You've
that's why
noticed
he
as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't invite you in August, yeah.
but here's
exactly.
your plane coming now.
Yeah.
Your jet's arriving, Crow.
Always put these ranges near an airport, don't they?
You missed that one as well. So yeah, try and put you on a plane.
Mister.
Lovely. Well, I have to say about that trip to Sweden. So we said, could Crow go? And he said, no, he can't go. So we said, could Roy go? No, Roy can't go. He's up to his elbows in birds again. Kai, no. Paul, no. Eventually I said, could I go? And there was a long silence, and then David said, yeah, all right. Oh, well, thanks.
The trouble is, when I don't film with Charlie very often. When I do, he gets.
You don't film with anyone very often.
What? No. He said. They said. I can't go if I'm going to be camp. I mean, for heaven's sake! What are they talking about? God! If you want me, I'll be in the London Musical Theatre.
Oh, does that bring us on to mime?
Doesn't work well on a podcast.
No, I was going to say radio.
Good place for radio, as they say. But I was just pushing an unseen object offset there. Well done, thank you.
I knew that. I thought it was the wind thing. You were pushing against the wind, no?
No, I was trapped inside a small box.
Okay.
Didn't you know?
But you are trained. You are a trained mime artist, aren't you?
Oh, look at that. Did you see what he did there? He did the lean in. Sorry, listeners, if it suddenly got a bit loud, because David did the professional lean in when he tries to make a point like this.
There it is. No, he is. He is. No one's picking me up on this, but he is trained.
Trained mime. Great dancer. And people
Is he really a trained mime artist?
We need to talk about this.
All right. Okay. In the spirit.
Now's your chance to shine, Charlie.
We're watching.
In the spirit of drawing the poison from this particular Karari tipped arrow from David, yes, I did want to become a mime artist when I left school. Job options were limited at the time, and it was right up there with bar work. So I did apply for the Marcel Marceau Mime School. Anyway, luckily for World Theatre,
Kenny Everett got there first.
they saw it before I did, and they didn't let me in. Phew.
Was this based on, it wasn't based on a conversation with your careers advisor at school?
His parents are very proud.
Yeah. Well, Charlie, tricky year, dustman, possibly, I don't know. Mime artist, I think. I did this. Well, they laughed.
Not surprised.
But it was a great pleasure meeting Marcel Marceau. He's not a noted sportsman, he's not a famous shooter, but he was a remarkable man. And so there.
Don't say a lot, does he?
Didn't say much to me.
Did he mind?
He might get out of my building. Yes.
Have we got slightly off piste here?
No, because we still have one important thing to get onto, which is the a German crisp advertising campaign of the early 1990s. Who's Aaron? Was that you starring in? No, he was much more self-assured. How about you, Andy? We said no, it wasn't you, Andy. No, because there was a pink-haired girl who wouldn't have found you attractive. Who was it? Let me think.
Aaron, if you remove the glasses, you're like Superman. You take the glasses off and you become...
Yes, Mr. Chipfishing.
Chipfish.
No.
What's it called?
It's good money.
Shit fishing.
Chip fish. Very, very big in Germany.
Yeah.
And I was quite big in Ireland for a bit because I did an ice cream ad in Ireland. Oh, I didn't. Have I told you about my other ad?
No,
The most famous actor
again, you see that?
I worked with, Julie Walters.
Oh.
I did an ad, and I didn't know I got it, and I did an ad with her, and I was working in a supermarket, so I was working on the fruit and veg, and she came along and tested my mangoes.
Could have been kiwi fruit.
Squeeze my mango.
Yes, exactly.
It could be your autobiography, couldn't it?
Hashtag me too. Has this ever been broadcast before?
I don't think so. It was just in cinemas. It was purely for cinemas up in the northwest. But yeah, Judy, because I didn't realise I got the audition, and I'd been working.
Not a successful campaign in Barrow in Furness.
I think it was actually for another company. It was just the role was that she squeezed my mangoes, and I had to. They said, "Can you raise your eyebrow like you did like you did in the audition?" And when I was under pressure, I couldn't raise the one eyebrow.
Oh, look at that. That's good. Oh, look at that.
So
Do it again, David.
And raise the eyebrow, and then suddenly they couldn't perform. My eyebrows were pretty static.
Probably your balls was around your ankles.
It happens to everybody.
Once your mangoes are squeezed, your eyebrows don't work. It's quite simple.
Of all the times for the eyebrows to fail. So, yeah. But no, that was an ad for. Yeah, it was something completely irrelevant to mangoes or Judy Walters. But I didn't know it was her because all my aunt had written is like, yes, you've got the ad. You've got to go to Manchester tomorrow morning with JW. So when she was there, it's like, oh.
You thought it was John Wayne, didn't you?
I was an ice cream man one summer.
You were an ice cream man for a summer?
Well,
Were
actually,
you selling mango ice cream?
no.
Did you raise an eyebrow every time someone came to buy
No, but it was a problem in Droitwich because I couldn't understand what anyone was saying. So it was tricky because I had 4 teenage girls come up and ask for. And I can't do the accent
Come on,
now.
do the accent.
Go on, do the accent, David. You know you can.
Screwball. So
My name's not Paul.
so I had I was Mr. Scoopy, but I was Mr. Scoopy, but Mr. Americano was Mr. Whippy, and so there was sort of like a turf war thing going on. So I was being pushed and pulled around Droitwich. I was ducking and diving in cul-de-sacs trying to avoid Mr. Americano because I shouldn't be on his patch. But then I actually found somewhere where there was some children, and
That doesn't sound good.
I was only 18 at the time. Summer job, and
Black
yeah,
clothes,
so
long nose and nets.
Jenny pie. Candy floss.
screwball.
They came running.
So whenever you guys passed in the streets, like you and Mr. Whippy and Mr. Scoopy, would you like drive by sort of flaking?
That's wrong. Don't you throw your flakes at me.
Who had the loudest noise on their ice cream?
No, my freezer had given up, so I was basically just distributing slop. So, yeah, it was like a bit of thing. But the trouble was with the girls that when she said it, they asked for the 4th time. I said, "I'm really sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. Can you please point at it?" So she had to point at the board outside. But the worst point was.
I'm terribly sorry. I haven't got a clue what you're talking about.
No, the worst one was I had Match of the Day as my wind-up ringtone. So, but it was wind-up. It wasn't like electronic. So, I drove into a cul-de-sac. And it started going dung 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 dung. I was like, oh hell! So I bent down under the dashboard to give it some rev. So ding 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 back up to. But then I mounted a curb. All my cornets fell off the back shelf with the raspberry sauce onto the floor with hundreds and thousands. So it was just carnage on the back area. And then I looked up and there's these 2 little girls looking as I was baying down on them with my ice cream van. And the dad came out and it was like a very aggressive. No, they were on the right. I was about to run them over, and the dad came out and gave me a stare like Mr. Crow, and he said, "Look on the back of your van, you've got mind that child in big pink letters. What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm terribly sorry. Have a free ice cream." I looked at the back, and it was just like I had some warm milk. Some warm milk, so hundreds and thousands on the floor, some raspberry sauce, and it was just like still a screwball. So yeah, that ended my ice cream career.
Americano's right behind me.
Brilliant.
So no more.
Brilliant. I like it. So how did you get involved with Fieldsports then?
By accident, big accident.
Yeah, we all kind of we all use that as
Fancy an ice cream, gents.
Did you wake up in the back of a Mr. Whippy covered in hundreds of thousands?
I was in Droitwich.
All I wanted was a screwball.
Got run over by an ice cream man.
Amazing. Yeah. We get so many like that. We found right up in the tub of Ben Jerry's. It was amazing.
Tonight ice cream.
It's completely solid.
How did I get involved with field sports? I was doing a magazine with Dom.
With Dom? No. With
I
James.
started with James, and then James tried to get hold of you when I had a good day on the pigeons, but he was doing his part-time job then for ITV. David was, in between doing adverts and raising his eyebrow.
Insured for £1,000.
Eyebrow wrangler. To the start.
It's got trained cattle.
Can't guarantee performance on the day, but I would try my best.
And David didn't want to film with me.
No,
and he still hasn't changed really.
Not much.
But no. Then Dom finally got hold of him, and he came out and done a bit of filming. That was show number 69. That was.
Was it really?
Yeah, show number 69. So yeah.
No, I remember that though. I remember that first day.
Yeah.
Because you put the board down, didn't you? Because you.
That's it. Me plus one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dom was there, and he went out the back of the hide with you. I don't know what happened, but then it was all edited, and it came out that Dom reckoned I was brought up by pigeons. And
oh right, that's the opening line, wasn't it?
that's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can remember it. See.
Yeah.
I've got a memory like an elephant, haven't I? nearly as big as.
Scarred by field sports.
And and what show are we on now?
4, 4, 5.
6.
Oh, 6 coming
Yeah,
up.
you might go 4 or 5. I got past that on Wednesday. 4, 4, 6. See what we have to deal with.
I know.
So when you get recognised by people in the streets and when you're around and about, what's the most obvious and what's the most asked question you get asked by people?
Are you Andy Crow?
Yeah, it is.
Andy Crow.
Yeah, they do. They say, "Are you Andy Crow?" And we love all the articles you do in the magazine. And never,
Don't say that.
never ever
not
mention.
true.
You should do some
That's
filming.
not true.
Do you know,
That's it. They say you ought to go on that YouTube channel.
David, a flick of a switch, and I'll be asking him, "Didn't you used to be Andy Crow?" That's what happened.
Yeah.
It's very easy.
They always say we love the YouTube channel. Keep it up. I've had loads of it today. Come up to me and no, it's good. I like it. So you've made me famous. You haven't made me rich, but you made me famous.
I haven't made anything
I've got
rich.
a bomb and bow.
I've even got a free T-shirt.
There you go.
Oh, there
There
we
you
go.
go.
Famous in his
pretty
own mind. Excellent.
Yeah. Where was we filming? You put your hands down my trousers to warm your hands because they were cold. Where was that?
That was
Oh, I can't
You didn't
film.
deny it. You just
I didn't.
I can't film.
Cold.
I can't film. I'm so cold. And he
All right,
went,
to have to put it in such a sort of. Now you can say, Andy, my hands are freezing. He said, well, I've got an idea for you, as opposed to, oh no, where can I put my hands? Can I put them down your trousers, Andy? It wasn't a question. It wasn't a rhetorical question. It was a case of, I'm going, God, my hands are freezing.
didn't ask twice,
I've
did
got
I?
a great idea.
yeah, I didn't
Shove
say
them
it
down
twice.
my-
Bosh, he's down there.
That's the
What do you
word.
mean, no?
No,
Just asked if he can put his hands down.
There's a couple of questions that I sort of they're quite dull and boring and serious, I'm afraid. But it always sort of gets to that point where if I ever go out on a day on the pigeons, I'll sit in a hide for hours and I'll see like 10, probably shoot at about 4, hit 1. And it's my usual day on the pigeons. How on earth where do you pick, or why do you think that is the spot to go? And how do you set up your pattern and stuff to make sure that you bring them in? Because you're sat there and you're banging away. The pair of you sat in the hive, and you're popping pigeons. That, like,
He warms
just
his
keep
hands
coming
up.
in, keep coming in. Exactly.
He warms his hands up. We bang away all afternoon.
I mean, how long do you generally tend to stay in the hide to do
20 minutes.
a program segment?
Oh, don't. You're just giving him ammunition. It's just not.
How long does he spend in the hide? David spends as little time as possible. So when he turns up, I need to shoot as many pigeons as I can, as quick as I can. But no, the reason I get big days, I'm in a good area where the farms that I shoot on a position, they're in good areas for pigeons. That's one reason. The other reason is no one else shoots on the farms that I shoot. So if I see 10 pigeons on a field, I can wait till there's a few more there so that I can shoot a big bag. But some other people, they have see 10 pigeons there, and they've got to get there today, because if they're not there today, there'll be 2 other people there tomorrow. So I don't have that trouble, which is quite good.
Are these where you generally tend to shoot? Is it your own farm where you shoot? Or?
No, I don't own a farm. I'm a farm manager on a
Right.
600-acre arable farm. I help out on other farms as well, which entitles me to do pigeon shooting there. So
do you generally tend to drive around in tractors and things and observe where they're coming
Yes.
in? So is
Yeah,
that
I
where
do.
you get
So-
your intel from?
Yeah, it is. The farm where I work, I know where the flight lines are. The pigeons tend to stick to them most of the time, all the way through the year. If they're flying from one part of the farm to another, they use that flight line. If they're feeding on a certain field, they use a flight line. So I know where all the flight lines are. And when I'm sat in a combine, going up and down, if I'm not watching the header, I'm watching for pigeons. So
What would disturb a flight line?
if it was shot continuously, they tend to.
I mean, if you took a hedge out or something like that, what is it that sort of dictates that flight line?
They do use markers, trees as markers, and different things like you're saying. Hedges do get grubbed out, but it's where pigeons have flown for years, and they just tend to stick to
Seems
that
like
line.
they're hefted to it, sort of.
Yeah, that's right. It's like when they migrate in the autumn, they come through and they stick to the same flight line every year, just about, and you can usually tell the date by them. So yeah, that's how I get my big bags, just knowing flight lines and reading flight lines. Where I used to work, I worked there for 22 and a half years, so
Right.
I had 22 and a half years of watching pigeons fly back and forwards. And
Have you ever had a really bad day where you've just sort of set up and just thought this is pointless?
Yeah, with Mark Gilchrist.
yeah, I have. Yeah, David comes. The thing is, when
I'm going to finish that off.
that's when he's warming his hand. But no, David comes. I always ring David because I know his time's precious, so I only ring David and Dom if they're coming out to do articles and filming. I only ring them on the best occasions. I'm like any normal pigeon shooter. I'll go out and shoot 5s and 10s, 15s, 20s, but David's not there. Very rarely there, because there's no point him coming up. If I think I'm going to shoot half a dozen pigeons, there's no point ringing David, because if he misses me shoot 3 of them, well, it's part of a show going. So I've got to always make sure it's a good day. So David knows
But
that.
often we will have a chat and you say, on the way home,
Yeah.
I saw some roosting birds, just popped out of the car, just set myself
Yeah.
up in the edge of
Yeah.
the wood and just had I've got 20 birds, and
Yeah, that's
you'll
right.
say what a fantastic evening he's had. So it's not always about the
No.
big bags at all, because
No.
it's not just for the show, he's doing it the whole time.
Yeah.
But the enjoyment is there, and the passion is there, and the love is there for him to think, I just fancy a quick
Yeah, that's
hour.
right. Yeah, sometimes it's really nice to go out without David or Dom or someone in the hide. It's great to go out on your own and
You and your dog.
yeah, and have your misses. Because you don't get everything. You have your few misses and you beat yourself up about it, and you're on your own. No one else has seen you have them few misses. But when David's there, he's moaning all the time. Oh, how'd you miss that?
You have a dog in the car hiding the hide with you, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. How often do you pick up? How often do you tidy up the pattern? If you're getting a big bag, do you tidy it up or?
Yeah, I do. It pays to tidy up. Pigeons, they I don't know why, but they hate seeing they drive into. If you've got tame pigeons there, pigeons are coming. You have a white tame pigeon there, come in. Wood pigeons still keep coming, but if you've got a wood pigeon on its back, they don't. That's a big no-no. I mean, you don't want the pattern too thick. So, but yeah, I tidy up pretty regularly. Anything that's alive and that's not dead.
And does that?
straight
I mean,
out
obviously, if you haven't got a dog, you can go out yourself every half an hour or whatever.
Yeah,
and that's
well,
not going to disturb
whenever I
them.
think the
Right.
pattern needs tidying up, I'll go out and tidy it up.
Right.
But yeah, because I want them to come as close as I can, so I
have
can
you
make a
got-
big bag.
Have you got a one-off sort of straight up? I've set up my hide. Have you got like a standard issue Andy Crow pattern that you'll put your pattern out, or do you just sort of play it by ear?
Play it by ear, really. Depends on the day. I was talking to people today. People put whirlies out and they go out today and shoot 50 birds with a whirly, and I think, next time they go out, they put the pattern out the same, put the whirly out there and shoot nothing. There's loads of pigeons about. It depends on the day whether they want the whirly, whether they don't want the whirly, whether they want a flapper, they don't want a flapper. And that's how it is. You've got to change with the pigeons.
So when you're sat there and it's kind of working but not working, how
Yeah.
long do you give it before you go, I'm going to change this?
Yeah, sometimes too long.
Right.
You think it's going to get better and it don't. So, but yeah, David's always advised me you ought to change something, Crow, so that's when I'll do it.
No, it's really interesting because I feel like sometimes people see the edited shows that you do, and they look at it and they go, well, why does he get all the luck? Why has he got so many pigeons over there? But they don't. Yeah. It's really nice to actually hear that you face the same problems as everybody sat in the hide would.
I've travelled miles and miles to shoot 2 pigeons, and when David's been with me on times when we've travelled miles to go and shoot pigeons, and he don't even get the camera out, and you know where I'm on about. And David, travelled probably 25 miles to get there, and I probably travelled 40 miles and didn't even get the gun out. So we was told there was a lot of pigeons there. There wasn't pigeons, but that's the way it goes. It's the same for me as everyone else. And that's when you're relying on someone else's reconnaissance and not your own. I can trust my own, but when people ring up and say, we've got thousands of pigeons here, get down here, you're travelling blind. Yeah. And you don't know where you want to set up, you don't know flight lines, and so you're relying on someone else's information to get a big bag, and it doesn't always happen. And
you always get the same call from the farmers, there's thousands of pigeons, it's blue, this whole field's blue. Yeah. And you get down and you're like, where?
Your Saturday job was a farmer, wasn't it? A trainee farmer. But get it all the time.
From a filming point of view, shooting pigeons, I mean, that's quite a quick reactive thing. I mean, I've seen the films when you guys are showing, I mean, you're almost like a dog, like sort of scanning the skies all the time looking for the pigeons. To actually get them not only in slow-mo, which is obviously a godsend in some respects, because you can really slow that down, but actually getting them in the camera, in focus, zoomed in, following the ones that he's going to be shooting. How long did it take you to get that now?
It's more about actually, it's all very well sort of focusing on a bird, and then the one to your right falls and you see it come through frame and you think, oh right, I was on that one. So it's sort of air traffic control. So it's understanding, and Andy knowing that I've got better, haven't I?
Yes.
When David first started, he was all right, but now it's like when you go pheasant shooting, whatever it is. I don't know. He picks it out now. He knows what I'm after. He can look at the gun and he knows where. If the gun's there, it's not that one I'm shooting. And like when pigeons are coming into the decoys, I'll say to him, it's coming in, and many a time you can hear it and say, you want it, David, you want it, and I'm waiting till David's on it, and especially when he's doing slow-mo, he says yes, and I've got like 5 seconds to shoot that so that he can get it on slow-mo. So
less than that, Crow. I mean, this is it. I ask an awful lot of him because he has his pigeon shooting, which he loves and adores, and I'm jeopardising that shot because I'm going, he's going, are you on it? And you'll hear it on the film, are you on it? Are you on it? And then there's like maybe a yes towards the end, sort of different levels of commitment on the yes, but yes. And then obviously the ones where he says, did you get that? And I say yes when I didn't, and then he hopefully forgets about it when he goes out in the show. So,
it's not an easy thing to keep focus on a bird.
No, it's not.
It's not
at all.
And on big days, it does cost me. Like some days I've been out with David, and David's filming, and we end up shooting, say, just for instance, say we shoot 100, but if I'd been there on my own, I would have probably ended up with 150, 160. So when David's filming, it does cost me pigeons. Yeah. It's inevitable, it's going to, but I'm there to
move the pigeons off the crop.
And to make a show, really. I'm there to help David make a show, so I sacrifice something to make a show. So, but no, it's...
But also, Crow also has to be a cameraman as well, because with the advent of the shot cam,
I was just about to mention that.
He will then not only shoot the bird but then follow the bird down, so that's then also restricting picking up on the second bird that's coming in, so he's committed to that bird. I mean, I'm making him sound incredibly generous. He isn't. I mean, tell you what, he's just greedy as hell, and he'll go for it. No, he's accommodating in the fact that the hide is big. We got room. There's a seat there, but he never sits down. I mean, I was filming with Paul Childrey the other day on the birds, and he has 2 very large chairs that look like there's well, no, they're not exactly lazy. Although I've always wanted to do Pimp My Hide, where we've probably got some lazy boys, and we've got some all sorts of dispensers and jukebox and whatever. Yeah. So
I've got a viewer question here. Yes. This came in from a viewer called Jack Thurley, and it's an easy one because you're the blowers a day to day. What's your favourite kit and why for pigeon shooting? Favourite kit?
Favourite kit?
What would you not leave home without?
Your dog.
Trousers.
Your dog.
What would I not leave home
Keep David's hands warm.
My favourite bit of kit.
Also know that's good.
Don't know, I've got loads of favourite kit.
What about few things would you? What few things, David, have you always seen him bring?
He would never forget to have his own cut down metal pigeon high poles. Those poles you wouldn't go without.
No, I've got my own high poles.
Because you know they're strong enough.
That's right, because the ones you buy, they never go high enough, and I always like the back of the hide high, so I've got my own custom-made hide poles, which I always take to build up the back of the hide, so that when David's filming, he can stand up and he's not sticking out like a sore thumb, so he's not a silhouette. So I always got the hide poles, 2 hide poles at the back.
Your ridiculous bag.
What ridiculous bag?
Your kidney dialysis.
That's my box. My kidneys.
Is that in case your kidneys fail halfway through the day?
No,
What is it? It's a transplant box.
It's a transplant box. I put everything in there, all my nets, anything I need. If I've got to walk anywhere, cartridges are in the bottom.
Can you tell how big is it? What sort of size is this box?
It's the multicoloured green thing that you
A hat.
It's about
that thing. Yeah, but okay.
Like
You can't recommend that to the viewers.
No, I know we can't. I know. But no, go and pick a transplant box. Yeah, I mean the high poles he's stolen, the box he's stolen.
No way! I made the hide
No,
poles,
no.
David.
No.
Well, I got another question which comes out of the hide thing, which comes
Uh-oh.
from Keith Haynes. He's having trouble with a sagging net on his poles,
And cold hands.
which he
I've
thinks
never asked you to sort out my sagging net.
which he thinks is putting off the birds. So he says you use a cord or a rope running through the top of your netting, keeping it nice and taut. What is this? How do you thread it through the netting? And how do you tie it at both ends? Tricky for the radio, but give it a go.
Right. As for the net, I got it from Jack Pike. It's one of the nets that they supply, and it already had the string in it.
So is it like a sort of top of a cheese bag or something like that? You just put it tight and it tightens
No,
up.
it's threaded. It's the actual camouflage netting is on another net, and it's got a string all the way around the top and all the way around the bottom, so you can hook it on the top of your high poles.
And then it doesn't. I mean, Keith's
doesn't
problems
sag.
is sagging. Yeah, okay.
It doesn't sag.
All right.
And any other nets that haven't got it, I make holes in it everywhere. I put my high poles and just hook it over the hooks to keep it tight.
You almost tie it round, don't you?
Yeah, I do wrap it round. Yeah.
So you
Especially
put
if I'm putting branches on. If I put branches on, I put the branches against the hide and then wrap the top of the net round and then hook it so they don't fall over.
Good. Well, Keith, may your nets sag no longer. Sounds a lot like Gardener's Question time, doesn't it? Anyway, let's go to the weather. Thank you for that. Thank you.
See, I have a problem. The guy that I shoot with, I'm 6'5",
Yeah.
and the guy I shoot with is about 5'4", somewhere around there.
Don't tell him you're going.
So when, so when we're in a hide, it's actually really tricky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either he can't see anything, apart from the ones directly above,
Yeah.
or I have to shoot on my knees.
Can you bring a shuffle? Just take yourself down a
Give him
bit.
a bit.
Just remember when you're down the pub, just don't mention you had a really good day the day before. You should have been there. Don't say that.
I
You
wish
should have
I'd
been there.
thought of that. That would
Yeah.
be the much better option, definitely. Excellent. Well, there you go. Thank you very much for everybody for joining in on the conversation. That's really cool.
Thank you very much.
Cool, nice one.
Yay.
Well done.
Very good.
So that was our conversation around a picnic table in the middle of a field with lots of stuff going on around us. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I also hope that you got to know the gang a little bit better also. They're a good bunch of guys. If you're listening to us on a podcast, then please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and rate us. A 5-star rating would be really useful. And also, if you're looking at us on YouTube, then please give us a thumbs up. And if you have any comments or questions, then leave them in the comments below. We'll love to hear from you. Excellent. I'll see you next time. Cheerio for now.